It's very common sense, very kind of bread and butter sort of approach to business, which looks at strong focus on cash, strong focus on IP, and strong focus on key value inflection points.
Hello, you're watching Proactive. I'm joined by EMV Capital CEO, Dr. Ilyan Ilyev. Ilyan, very good to speak with you. EMV has kept assets under management above £100 million and also fully integrated Martlet Capital. How does this scale make the platform stronger for investors?
Hello, Stephen. Well, look, we're quite happy with the performance last year. As we all know, it was a challenging year from a global macro, domestic political basis, and so on. But within that, we have the advantage that the portfolio that we have is driven by strong fundamentals, both in the deep tech and life sciences and data and AI space. So in that sense, us maintaining 100 million plus in AUM at a time where other funds have seen a decline has been a good experience that shows underlying strength. Of course, within the portfolio, there's winners and losers, as always, but overall, it's been a good year. I think from an investor perspective, our platform is significantly strengthened, both in terms of the portfolio health and the financing of the various portfolio companies we have, but also the integration of Martlet and EMV is now fully completed. And what that means is that we're cross-investing from our EAS investment and investment syndicate into the excellent Martlet portfolio coming out of the Cambridge cluster. And again, this is leading to a greater diversification within our portfolio.
Your venture building program has turned £900,000 into over £10 million over 3 years. What's the secret to creating ventures with such high impact and efficiency?
So look, we are high conviction investors across several technology sectors. Having said that, we all know about the technology hype curve, after the hype, investment dries up and so on. What we've found is that on the other side of the hype curve, when sometimes the more pop investor interest wanes, we find companies with excellent technologies that have already shown product market fit and have a promise, but need some level of financial restructuring, revamp of their business plan or otherwise, and you can get excellent growth prospects there. And we have shown this over and again across several companies where we've taken a deep stake in those businesses, worked with the management team to restructure the business plan, to revamp their financial and investment strategy, and then accelerate them to various value inflection points. It might sound theoretical, it's not. It's very common sense, very kind of bread and butter sort of approach to business, which looks at strong focus on cash, strong focus on IP, and strong focus on key value inflection points.
From Wanda Health to AMR Bio and Sofant, your portfolio spans life sciences, deep tech, and sustainability. How do you identify the companies most likely to reach key value inflection points?
Well, as I said earlier, and I'll give now a few more examples, we look at the fundamentals. So, is the IP strong? Is the market large and growing? Is there a strong product market fit? If the team isn't complete, do we have in our network experts, industry executives that could complement the team and grow? Can we see the next value inflection point? Can we see the contracts that will come with 6, 9, 12 months of work? And this is, you mentioned the multiple sectors. This is common sense business across multiple sectors, whether it's digital health, such as Wanda, SATCOMs, such as Sofant, plastic waste recycling, such as deep tech recycling, or indeed antibiotic resistance with AMR Bio. So it's a very much common sense approach focused on fundamentals.
With multiple portfolio fundraisings and new venture creation, how do you decide when to deploy EMV's capital directly versus relying on third-party co-investment?
So here again, we go back to the basics of how corporate finance works. Different investors have different preferences. EMV Capital's balance sheet is sacrosanct. We only use it sparingly where it has a multiplier effect. It could be that it plays a role as anchoring a deal, and then we're able to bring in the rest of our EAS syndicate. It could be that speed is extremely important to capture a moment, and once again, our syndicate can come on the back of that. And it could be there is just a really, really good deal that we have to take. But fundamentally, the pivot we undertook a few years ago when Net Scientific acquired EMV Capital was that it is not primarily using our balance sheet, but rather using our balance sheet sparingly in a capital efficient manner to unlock third-party funding to grow these businesses.
Ilian, in the announcement, you mentioned challenging VC exits, but structural tailwinds in deep tech, life sciences, and sustainability. Where do you see EMV creating the most value for shareholders over the next year to year and a half?
Well, the beauty of the platform is that we've got multiple shots on goal. Certainly within what we're doing in Cambridge with Martlet, there is a lot of interesting opportunities now starting to come out that our broader network in EMV itself can participate. I think the venture build practice, this is where a lot of the outsized returns can come. Of course, the risk is higher, but this is where we have a lot of influence, a lot of control, and we are really close to the pulse of those companies. I won't name names. All of them have their own sets of opportunities. But continuing from that, you will have seen that we strengthened our leadership team last year, so we have greater capacity now to bring on board other venture build companies through 2026, as well as looking to continue to grow our fund management practice. So we're not taking a kind of a risky approach. Look, that's the one thing that will happen. We're taking a blended approach across the platform with multiple projects, each of which can bring significant returns to our investors.
Ilian, I hope you'll continue to keep us updated with your progress. Thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you, Stephen.
It's Dr. Ilian Iliev, the CEO of EMV Capital.